There we go. Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to another installment of Erin's Book Club. It's a little bit darker here today because we're going to be getting a heat wave that I think is going to knock us all out for a bit. And I don't have air, so I've kept all my drapes closed, so sorry about that. But I have another book that I've read, and I want to go through it with you guys because it's a topic that I like, but something I don't know a lot about. So the book that I read was called Superbird, The Story of Albatross by Donald P. Evans. And I guess this Donald P. Evans has written a lot of like sports type, harness racing, that kind of thing in books. But this is the first harness racing book that I have read. And you know, it's really, really old, and I guess they assume that everybody who's picked up this book must know a lot about harness racing, because a lot of the stuff is assumed that I didn't understand. Like, there was a term called parked out that I only understood parked out as being the way that a gaited horse stands, like a rocking horse. So I actually had to ask my friend who is quite prolific in the harness racing and who has done harness racing for years to tell me what it meant. I think in the end I probably would have figured it out on my own, but it was a bit frustrating not to know the terminology and just to have the author assume that I do. And like even in the back where all the records of this horse are kept, there's no like definitions to help the wayward uninitiated harness racing person reading this book. Other than that, though, I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would because it opened up in a conflict, like an argument. So when I first read the first few pages, it kind of stood me off a little bit. Like the first sentence on the story of Albatross is, This could have been a more complete book, a better book, had three key figures in the Albatross story been willing to take part in the telling of the story. Bert V. James, Alan J. Levitt, and Dr. J. Glenn Brown were all invited to answer questions and express their views on the bibliography. For reasons of their own, they decided to remain on the sidelines. Now, I understand that there was a lot of conflict with this horse. However, when you open up a book in the acknowledgments saying that this would have been a better book if so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so had actually answered the questions I asked, you're kind of coming off like a spoiled rotten brat and saying, well, they didn't play the game I wanted them to play. And with going on and reading the tone of the book, and the light in which these people are written, I can understand how they wouldn't want to have their say in the book. Because I think the way he wrote it is actually the way it happened, and looking back they realize how much of a unfair and uncaring person they were in the situation, and they didn't want to bring that up. On the same side, I mean, if it was in my situation and I came back and realized, hey, yeah, I was being a jerk, I would probably want to set the record straight on how I felt. But either or, to start off the acknowledgments in the book about an argument made me a little bit worried about how the book was going to go. In the end, I shouldn't have worried because it ended up going better than what I expected. But that kind of like, I don't know, playing games, I guess is what you call it, that kind of thing. I just want to hear about the story. I don't want to hear about the politics in it. But I guess in order to hear about the story, you have to know about the politics. So it's a difficult situation, but the book itself I enjoyed. This Superbird horse seems like the everyday horse, the horse that, you know, if you keep working at it, no matter what people say about you, because at first they didn't like Superbird. They couldn't sell Superbird when he was younger. So I guess it kind of shows that no matter what people think of you, if you keep working at what you want to work at, then everybody will see the star that you really are. So that was a great, I guess, message to broadcast. Let me read the back of it so you guys get a gist of what's going on. Oh wait, that's about the author. That doesn't help. Okay. They called him Albatross. He was a small colt out of an unraced, unproven mare, and nobody much wanted him. Not the 5 people who bred him, not the man who paid 11,000 for him, his dam, and his full sister, not the buyers at the Standardbred Horse Sales Company auction in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and not the man who reluctantly agreed to train him after efforts to sell the colt had again failed. Yet, within 2 years, some of the most important people in harness racing were squabbling over him, bitterly arguing over the right to pay $2,500,000 for him. What happened in the interim to change the minds of racing experts world over? What was it that sent his stock soaring so astronomically? And why did some of the sport's leading owners, breeders, and trainers end up feuding, taking the battle to the newspapers, going to court over the horse? The answers are all here in this new book by Donald P. Evans, whose earlier biographies of great harness horses, Brett Hanover, Big Bum, The Story of Brett Hanover, and Nivelle Pride, Speed and Spirit, won the praise and plaudits of readers and reviewers from coast to coast in Canada and as far away as Australia and New Zealand. With bold strokes and no-holds-bar reporting, Evan paints the world portrait of Albatross, the pacing runt who evolved into a strapping, record-bursting member of the pacing royalty, who enthralled hundreds of thousands of racing fans for 3 years running. Superbird, the story of Albatross, is the story of the five star-crossed individuals who bred the horse, then parted with him at a profit of $170 each. Of Harry Harvey, the sensitive horseman who molded the youngster into the season's champion, only to lose him when owner Brett James decided to sell at the end of the colt's 2-year form. Of Stanley Dancer, the famed trainer-driver who guided the horse to time and earning records as a 3-year-old, then feared for his reputation when the new owners unceremoniously fired him because Albatross was slow to the hop back on the winning track during the early portion of his last year's races. Some will call it a controversial book. The move to dump Dancer touched off horse racing's most famous war of personalities. But it is far more than that. Superbird, the story of Albatross, is the true tale of a colorful, awesome horse in the colorful, awesome sport of harness racing. Supported by 100 photographs, Superbird will appeal not only to the millions who follow standardbred racing, but to anyone who enjoys the spectacle of sports. So, it was a very good book. I enjoyed following along and having our little runt win in the end. And I enjoyed the comeuppance that did come in the end. But I hate how the politics just goes to prove you that people can be cruel to people and evil to people no matter what. In every aspect of life. There are awful people who care only for money. And usually those are the ones that have a lot of money and they don't actually need more, but they will walk over you to get more. But in the end, you follow the strapping little colt who doesn't know anything about money, just wants to do his job and enjoys doing his job. And because he enjoys doing the job, he got the good end in the end. I don't know. I really enjoyed the book. I think I want to do more harness racing information because, I don't know anything about it. I haven't actually seen harness racing live. I've seen it on video, but I haven't seen it live, and I'd like to do that. So it's piqued an interest that way. Just, all in all, a really good book. So any of you guys who are into the harness racing and the standardbreds or anything like that, give it a try. You can't go wrong. So thank you very much for listening to me talk about another book I have read, and I will let you know when I've got another one finished. Have a great Sunday, guys.